Now, Mr. Imar Shamshad.
I've submitted 4 pages notes, my lord.
We'll have a look at the note. Can you
And-
just identify the most critical
Yes,
point that you want to make?
2 points I'm trying to convey, my lord, because Mr. Sibal, Mr.
Just come straight to the point.
They have already argued. My lord, as far as the matrimonial legislations are concerned, those statutory legislations 50 onwards, even in those legislations, there are scope of customs, practices, which have been practiced for long time. Undefined practices are part of those legislations. I have cited, for example, only 4, 2 from Hindu related Hindu religion law and 2 from Muslim. For example, section 3A and 29 from Hindu Marriage Act, my lord.
Yes.
Section 3A of Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act 1956. They take custom within the statutory regime. Those are not defined.
So what is how do you formulate it?
My lord, even in the statutory regime, undefined customs and practices,
yes,
of community and those who follow religious beliefs have been made part of the statute.
Is what? See, 4C proviso of the Special Marriages Act.
My lord.
He itself talks of subject to custom, and then it says how custom is to be, proved.
My lord. So that is there, and we don't know ultimately what custom is finally proved in certain facts and circumstances. That will depend upon case to case basis. Same way in Muslim related legislations, my lord. In section 3 of Muslim Women Protection of Divorce 1996 Act, there are practices of Muslims which have been recognized. 1939 Act of Dissolution of Muslim Women, that sets out ground for divorce, but there is a provision which says that other grounds which is acknowledged in Muslim personal law. So those have to come from uncodified sources of personal law.
What is the next point?
Next point, my lord, even if we talk a Special Marriage Act, my lord, reading of section 19 to 21A takes us to custom within 3B T 73 of Hindu Succession Act. Section 19 to 21, if we read it together, detailed discussion has taken place on this, my lord. It takes us to Hindu Succession Act 3BD73. And they are uncodified customs.
All right. What is the next point?
If we go to 27(1)A, my lord, then that takes us to Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act 3A, read with section 10, clause 3. So this is one, my lord. Second, as far as declaration is concerned, the declaration that has been sought for from that side, I completely adopt the arguments of Mr. Dwivedi, learned Solicitor General, Mr. Kapil Sibal. My lord, if your lordship declares this right, I just want to flag 1 or 2 problems. Within the realm of personal laws, those that relationship may not be recognized, and it is not recognized in many personal laws. At the same time, we have certain statutory bodies which only regulate religious affairs, like Hajj committees, like certain shrine boards. They only regulate religious affairs. Like if somebody goes tomorrow to Hajj committee, and says, I have constitutionally declared right to remain as union, and I want to go on Hajj as couple, married
We'll have
couple.
to wrap up now. Yes.
So that I have 2-3 examples that I have
Or
set
let
out.
me look at the.
These are the problems which will be faced by even a statutory bodies that you.
All right.
So
Thank
so
you, Mr. Shamshad.
I'm deeply obliged.
Call upon Ms. Priya Aristotle, please. Thank you, Mr. Shamshad. Thank you.
I'm deeply obliged.
Sorry to cut you short, but we are now.
No
Thank you.
problem.
We'll read your note. Yes, Ms. Aristotle.
Much obliged, my lord. I stand here representing a student, Jerusha Joel, and I have 3 lines of argument only, my lord. One is about the history and the marriage aspect, which is social, and about the canvas, which my lord opened up. Normally on a canvas, we want to see who's
You've
behind.
given us written submissions?
Yes,
All
so
right.
I will not get deep into it, but how much is necessary. And
Right.
third is the ASG addressed about the adoptions and the kids. But what about our children who are going to school? They have been receiving a lot of propagation which has been going on, and we just need a little protection for them at this tender age when this is being done on a day-to-day basis in the name of gender clubs. So the first is, as we all know, the word normally used here, even in IPC, was sodomy. The origin of it is the sin of Sodom, which comes from the Bible. And
What's the core of the submission? Tell us the core of the submission.
I just want to bring up the historic aspect.
No, don't give us history. Give us the core of the submission.
Minute, that is all.
Yes.
So I just want to say that we are not following the Victorian law, but it originated 5,000 years back, and it's basically the Jewish law that we follow. And that is how all this was abolished, like adultery, monogamy, sodomy, sati, everything was there, but all that came with the Reformation, which was gone on with it. Now they've come for legalizing it. As long as people do not come to legislate certain things, there are many things that are happening. Like I've visited ashrams, like because my family comes from a set of
one
place
should-
where
so
there are
long
no
as-
legality
we got your
at all.
point, yeah.
In fact, there must be incest.
So it has to be in the form of legislation.
Exactly. But if these people, this group is going to come and ask my lords for legislating it, definitely it's a no. But if it is going to happen behind the doors, nobody is going to be bothered.
Everybody's made that point now. I think we can.
Yes, yes.
Anything
that's
else?
why I
Anything
think
else which has not been covered?
absolutely, my lord. Now going behind the canvas, who is behind the canvas? Internationally, it's not just in this court. I was listening to the the US court arguments, the audio of it. Literally, it's a replica of what's happening there and in many other nations. There are no new submissions that are made. So
All right. Thank you, Ms. Aristotle. I think we'll close there. Yes. Thank you, Ms. Aristotle.
Yeah.
Now, what about Mr.
One thing about the UN agenda, my lord. Recently, not very long back, recently I have submitted my thing, so I'm just not going to get into it. But very recently, they have come with principles, more than 20 principles. And principle number 16 is about consensual sexual conduct. With the new principles coming in, my lords doesn't have to worry about the age factor, whether it's going to be 18 or 21, because UN has come up with a guideline saying that you don't have to, even if they're minors, if they're going to consent for sexual things, it cannot be criminalized. And again, it goes on for 18. It says sexual orientation. Anybody can guide a minor to get into. It comes there, my lord. I have marked it at page 119 to 144 are my UN agenda thing. So again, our children who are going to school, every other day there is propagation of this that is going on, and they need to be protected. In Russia, there's a thing against propagation of.
Thank you, Ms. Aristotle. Now we'll hear Ms. Manisha Narayan Agarwal.
Much obliged.
Thank you, Ms. Aristotle. What's the punch point?
Punch point, Your Lordship, only. Lordship, my punch point is in the first para of my written submissions, Your Lordship. The question that I ask myself is, can there be a declaration of, can there be a declaration that an absence of recognition is void? And what will be the consequence of such a declaration, my Lord? Will the consequence of such a declaration be creation of the recognition? And there is only one parallel which I will draw is, there was a time when our statute recognized joint and several liability partnerships, but did not recognize limited liability partnerships. Could someone take up the Partnership Act as law under Article 13(2) and pray to this honorable court to recognize, to declare as void the absence of limited liability partnerships?
All right. Thank you, Ms. Thank you. You got the point.
Obliged, my lord.
Thank you. Mr. Joby Verghese.
Yeah, Your Lordship. Sasmit Patra.
Yes.
I'm representing two organizations. I'm also at a personal capacity as a member of Parliament of Rajya Sabha.
Yes, Mr. Patra.
Your Lordships, two basic points, 2 minutes and I'm done. First, capacity of Parliament. That has not been taken up. We've talked about separation of powers, various things, capacity of Parliament. I'll elaborate on that. Second, role of politics.
Just 1 second, I'll read.
I'm sorry, Your Lordship, I'm having to rush because of the time. But
What was the argument, Mr.?
the argument is capacity of Parliament. I've filed a 3-page submission report in which the fourth para, if you see, there is a table.
Just give us 1 minute. So what we'll do is we'll come back after lunch. We'll give you 5 minutes after lunch. So
Thank you, Your Lordship. Deeply obliged.
I need five to
Certainly.
I'll not repeat anything.
Certainly.
Before the.
Of course, we're not.
Your Lordship's leave to upload the note in rejoinder.